you already know that I believe you can make the money and you can get the honey. You can have it all as long as you are willing to work. And today, we got some working wives in the building. Make some noise, working wives. Y'all, we are getting into some juicy conversation for season 2. We were like tiptoeing on the marble floor in season 1, but season 2, baby, we are busting it out. Are y'all ready for me to get in your business?
If you want to call it tiptoeing, it wasn't tiptoeing. No, you was
spicy. It was a little spicy. Okay, we real jalapeno for season 2. Okay, all right. So before we get in y'all business, I am at least gonna have the people put some respect on your name by allowing you to introduce yourself. So Angela, let's start with you.
Hi, I am Angela McCoy, President and CEO of Full Circle Consulting Group. We are a boutique public relations, marketing, and event planning company based in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
Love it. Hi, y'all. Okay, let me stop. Hey, girl, hey. Now, I'm Trina Denise Smith, and I'm a mom, a wife, because those are, taking over my life right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm a serial entrepreneur, influencer, and content strategist. So,
she's fabulous, y'all.
Yes.
Hello, I am Ebony Porter Ike. I am the president and CEO of EPI Media Group. Mm-hmm. I'm also an executive film producer and the owner of Ebony Eyes Entertainment. Also a podcaster, so I also have my own podcast, Cornology, as well.
Check me out. I am on the... What episode was that?
You were first episode, season 2.
Come
and
on.
You brought the heat.
Okay.
And also an author. So I love business and I love everything about it.
Yes. Okay, but we ain't talking about business.
Nope.
Today. I already won them. Got us right together. We ain't talking about business. It's time to get in y'all business. Okay, because this is the thing, and I am very, very intentional about having wives on the couch. We're going to have some single ladies too, but the conversation around marriage for Black women specifically is not had enough. And so sometimes when you get into this space, life comes at you fast. And what we don't want to happen is the things that we've been praying for, the things that should be a blessing to become a burden because we're not prepared for them. So we're getting into this conversation around how people can prepare for marriage, some of the things you wish somebody would have taught you about marriage. But before we get into the advice, I just want to know, like, how did you meet your husband? Because it's some single ladies out there that's like, sis, where do I need to go? Send me the address. So where do they need to go to meet their husband? You gonna go last because I know your story. Ebony, let's start with you.
So I met my husband walking into the grocery store.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
It was, you just, by chance, I was getting out. And you know what? Actually, I was leaving the gym and I wanted to go home, but for some reason, I needed to have some grapes. And I had to have these grapes.
That would be my favorite
fruit,
girl.
So I went to the grocery store, and as I was getting out my car, my husband and his cousin was coming out the grocery store, and they, caught my attention, and, we became really good friends. At that time, I was looking for my first home. We got married 24 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, 24 years.
Triple
Goals.
Okay.
Real goals.
Okay.
And I was looking for my first home, and he was helping me and giving me advice and all that stuff, and we just became really good friends, and the friendship grew into a relationship.
How long did you date?
We dated for 1.5 years.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So you got skin in the game.
So he knew. Okay. Trina.
Girl, okay. So before there were DMs, there was, you might know this, before there were DMs, there were AOL chat rooms.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I say I shot my shot?
Yes.
I shot my shot. So my husband, my now husband, then Bay, we had similar AIM names. Mine was Miss Fresh to Death, and his was Fresh to Death 86.
Wow.
And so I'm scrolling, and I had on my little Juicy Couture outfit on my profile
throwback.
I can't believe I'm telling people. But he, I just noticed he had on his Yankee fitted. He's a New Yorker, and I was just like, yo, what's up?
Is
ASL,
that what you said?
Is that what you say back there? ASL, age, sex, location. You know how you used to.
Girl, that's a real throwback. Not the chat rooms. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it was a chat room. People who know.
Right.
So, we just started talking, and I was only honestly, I was 16, 17. We kept in touch. We both had Nokia sidekicks or whatever it was. And we kept in touch through college, and then I went to New York one time, met him in real life.
That's what I was gonna say. How long before y'all actually met?
Probably like 3 years.
Wow.
3 years. So I was like in high school when I started talking to him. Yeah, this was before the catfish days. So this was before MySpace. This was before all of that. And we went to New York. I went to New York with a friend. Met him at like it's like Dave and Buster's, but it was a local version. And we just kept in touch. I mean, he turned into my best friend. That's like our story.
I love it.
Yep.
So wait, I got to dig a little bit deeper because
Girl,
you
can
were
dig real
in
deep. I was being bad.
Where were you? No, but where were you living?
I was in Alabama.
You were in Alabama.
He was in Queens.
He was in New York.
Yep.
So you met at 16.
Yeah, originally it was 16. So my childhood best friend was from New York.
Okay.
So I would go to New York with her often.
Got you.
And so we just met up at like a game room there.
And then y'all went off and still lived your lives.
We lived our lives. He went to college. I went to college. We dated other people. And then some kind of way, I can't remember how our paths crossed again. But we started talking. And we would like keep up with each other on social media. I happened to be in the same city that he was in at the time. We linked up, and he couldn't get rid of me.
Linking.
Yep.
I know that's right. Okay, the link is linking.
That's when I hooked him. Though.
That's when you hooked him. Okay, we're gonna get into how you hooked him. All right, Angela.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell the story, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So, I met my husband online.
Oh,
I know
I'm not
everyone
alone.
says, well, no, a true dating site.
Oh, wow.
Plenty of fish. Of all the dating
Plenty
sites.
of fish is a
Plenty of fish. We had, the day he put his profile up, I saw him. I was like, oh, he's cute. But the picture was cropped. So I was like, you need to work on your editing skills because I see a little female hand around the way. It was an edited photo. But I still liked him. He liked me back. We had one phone call, one date, and we have been together ever since. So we're celebrating 9 years of marriage this year.
Can we clap that up? Trina, how many for you? We got 24, 9, and 5.
years.
Okay, so we have, we got
We're
the seasons.
seasoned.
Yes, we got the seasons
Yeah.
representing. So it might, take some digging for you to like dig back 24 years ago to answer this question. But how did you know he was the one?
Oh, I remember that. I became very sick. So I was dating him, and I was sick. And a really bad cold, but it just knocks you off your feet, flu-ish type cold. And I was in Atlanta. I'm not from here. Had no family, no friends, anything. Just basically him. And he took really good care of me. And I felt safe, and I knew he had my back. And that was just something that really clicked in my head. And beyond all the other stuff that people look at, you need to be with somebody that's going to have your back. And that's when I knew.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Look, when you're down and out, when it's the dirty part, it's like, and then the vulnerability of it all, like being sick. You usually don't even want anybody around you when you're sick. So to have somebody not just there, but like taking care of you, that'll do it.
And not making you feel like a burden.
Right.
As well.
Yep.
Yeah. My story is similar to that. So my husband, he came to visit. We were still in college, just dating. We would, because we were long distance and we were broke college students, when he would come, sometimes he would take like the bus. So he would stay extendedly, for a couple of weeks. So one time he came to visit, and coincidentally, my grandmother was living with us, and she passed away. So it was like early in the morning. We went in the room to, give her breakfast, thinking that, it's another day. She was like unconscious. And we immediately called, 911. They told us to lay her on the floor. But my grandmother was 350 pounds. We couldn't pick her up. My now husband, then, he was just my boyfriend, but he like jumped in and like picked her lifeless body up, put her on the ground, and tried to resuscitate her. I mean, like mouth to mouth, like doing the work. And he didn't know her. Like, he didn't have to do that. Like, we were only dating for like a year. And that's when I knew. I was like, yo, like for him to go that far for me or for her, I just knew, like, quit playing with this man. Quit playing with this man.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
For me, it was after our first conversation. It was a 5-hour phone conversation. I'll never forget. We got off the phone at 2 a.m. And this was during the holidays. So, during the holidays, you're all gushy and romantic and all that type of stuff. And it was through the holidays, and our first conversation was 5 hours. The moment we hung up the phone, I looked at my cousin. At this point, it was like 2:20 in the morning. I said, that's going to be my husband.
My husband. That's
don't you
him
love
right
that?
there.
She looked at me, was like, if you don't take your behind the bed, go to bed. But, like I said, one phone call, one date. And together
And you
ever
knew.
since.
So wait, how long between the phone call and the date?
3 days. Wow. We had a phone call on a Monday night. We had a date on that Thursday night, and we have been locked and loaded since that date.
I love it.
Locked and loaded.
And men know.
They know.
Yeah.
And he was coming out of has been out of a previous marriage. He was married before, I was not. And for him, he said he knew on that date too, and it floored him. I mean, on that phone call, he said, but it floored him because he never thought that he would look to be married again, but then so quickly.
Right.
So it was just easy. It was just everything about us has, even to this day, it's just been easy. No expectations, no nothing, just easy.
I think that easy is what it truly is, but what single women are looking for is sexy. And nothing that y'all just said, it was sexy.
No.
You being sick is not sexy. Your grandmother passing away, that was not sexy. A 5-hour phone call is not whining and dining and lobster and steak and all of the things that single women are thinking that it requires in order to find this one. So my question then is, are single women looking for too much?
Definitely.
Or the wrong things?
I was about to say, I think it's the wrong things. And I think it's driven by what we see, every day on TV,
social
on
media.
social media. Yeah, it's like,
or what you don't see
Exactly.
at your home. Like, I was raised in a 2-parent household, so I understand what marriage really is. And I think a lot of people who have this false perception of what marriage is, because they weren't raised in a 2-parent household, they think everything is supposed to be peachy creamy all the time and this prince and shiny armor. That's not how it is all the time.
yeah,
And you are disappointed when it's not.
Yep.
yeah. In a 2-parent household that they actually like each other.
Well,
like,
that's the
like
thing.
each other, but also
know.
my parents have been married now. My parents are still married, so my parents have been married now maybe 50 years. Right? I don't know the exact number. But what I will say to you is, marriage has its ups and downs, and
Absolutely.
I think the reality of it is knowing that, expecting that, and not running for the hills every time you have a problem. And I think that's what we are living in today's society. Everybody just wants to just dispose when things get rough.
yeah, I agree.
I think social media has a huge influence on what single girls are looking for in a marriage, because when you see people posting things on social media, it's the shiny stuff, as I call it. Marriage is not always shiny stuff. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs, you're going to have, or someone wants someone who's going to carry the weight all the time. It can never be one person carrying all the weight in a marriage. It truly has to be
not sustainably. You
a
can't
true
sustain it.
partnership.
Yep.
It's going to be ups and downs. I think the biggest challenge, and we talked about this before, is this whole perception of goals. I think, well, first of all, I hate a lot of this stuff that's on social media, where I think it puts a lot of undue pressure on people to live up to expectations that aren't real. And I think all of these goals, relationships, and then you have people at home crying their eyes out, and they may have this perfect guy for them, but they are overlooking him because he
don't look like what they saw on
what they
social
saw
media.
on social media,
Yeah.
and you let your situation go down the tubes because of that.
Or even if the look is one thing, but when did men start buying just cars? Like,
Right.
Oh my gosh.
when did that become a thing? Because
Yeah.
think about the percentage of people that's actually possible for.
Right.
So and we're not even talking about like little girls.
Right.
Grown women get caught up in that. So imagine if you're growing up with Instagram, you're growing up with social
Yeah.
media, and now you have this false idea of what love means. If he's not doing this, if it doesn't look like this, then it's not good
only
enough.
Cars. You got these women who are expecting these men to buy them $10,000 bags.
Houses.
$1,000. Look, it ain't even got to be 10. 1,000 is a
It's
stretch for
not
some folks.
realistic about it.
But it's
not.
all material. That's everything that y'all are saying is just material driven, and it has no intentionality behind it. It's like, what are we actually doing? How are we actually getting to know each other? Like you and your husband sat on the phone for hours. Like, how are you actually investing the right way into this relationship?
Right. And
That's the
and the
problem.
things that are not just like it looks good. Because I'm gonna answer this question. My husband in the room, y'all. He behind the cameras. Y'all can't see him, but he
Broski.
sits nearby. Okay. But let me tell y'all what did it for me. Okay. It's not sexy.
Uh-oh.
But as an entrepreneur, you know, we don't have not life insurance. We don't have health insurance a lot of time, right? We be out here
Yes.
winging it. Like if something fall off, I'll go to the hospital. But until then, I'm gonna Google and figure out what I need to do to diagnose myself. But my husband, boyfriend at the time, added me to his health insurance as his domestic partner. I don't know what that means. I had to pretend like I was a
You better
domestic
finesse
partner.
Listen.
We finesse.
You
We
better
finesse.
finesse.
We finesse. He didn't
Listen.
ask no questions. Okay, but the fact that he cared about me that
Yeah.
much to say, I see you out here working. I know this is not something you have, but I care about your health enough to. And he was reminding me how much extra he was paying for me. Like, you better use these benefits. But to go out of his way to do that without me asking,
Yeah.
I just felt like, okay,
That's the
I
one.
might have something here.
But that's
I
why
might have a
he's
little
saying
something.
men know. Like when they know, and they don't do anything in vain. They're not just out here aimlessly vibing. You know, like when they know you're worth the investment, they're gonna pour that into you. You
Yep.
never have
You'll
to guess
ne-
that.
And that conversation came up on a past episode where it's like real love doesn't leave you confused.
You don't have to
like
think
if
about
you
it.
have to
Yes.
call everybody you know to ask them, well, what y'all think? Do you think he's really serious? No, he's not.
Nope.
He's not really
Nope.
serious.
Nope.
If you have any confusion, that's your answer.
Yeah.
Period.
Get your clarity from your confusion,
Yep.
okay? So I want to go to something you said with your husband being previously married. Do you feel like that has benefited you? Like, do you see the value in him being previously married? Like, he's learned some lessons
Absolutely.
he's bringing. So talk about that, because I think that, again, as single women, we have this negative connotation to, oh, if you've been divorced, you know, no, that's a deal breaker. That's a non-negotiable or whatever. Talk about, like, the positive side or what could be positive from that.
For him, I think it helped a lot because he knew what it takes to sustain a marriage and what he did not get from the first marriage, which was communication. Communication is so key. Like if you cannot have a conversation with your spouse, what are you doing? Trust. I could not talk to my husband for 2-3 days and then like nothing would cross my mind other than he's busy. He's gonna get at me when he can. Like trust and communication were so key, and he didn't have that in his first marriage. It was constant argument, constant expectations, because he got married young. He got married when he was 25. You know, at 25, we're not the same person as we are as we get into our 30s and 40s, and our wants and needs and expectations are different. And he understood that a marriage is give and take. It was his second marriage, but my first marriage, but I waited until I was 40 plus to get married. Whereas most people are getting married in their 20s, they're getting married in their 30s and figuring it out. I used my other friends' marriages and what they did, possibly wrong or possibly right, to help kind of guide me through our marriage. But definitely him being married the first time around totally gave him, as he calls them, little nuggets on what to do, what not to
look
do
for.
in his second marriage.
And that's
So,
probably how he could identify, like, okay, there's something different about her. Like, this is it, because he knew what wasn't it.
Yep.
And then sometimes these ex-wives be setting the bar so damn low that it's like, well, baby, as long as I it gives you kind of a, not a blueprint, but it's like, okay, well, don't do this, and this.
Yep.
And we can, you
Yeah.
know,
We can rock.
make it work.
We can make it work.
So listen, ladies, 40 plus, dating app, plenty of fish. What is your, like, this should give you some hope. This should be some inspiration right here, okay?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, the men are out there. It's just women need to do the work to get past, as I say, the shiny stuff, to get to the core of the individual. I've had 3 other friends who have since then went on Plenty of Fish, found their husband, and has gotten married. So all I'm gonna say is they're out there. You just gotta do the work and stop looking for, to your point, did he buy me a car? Did he buy me a purse? Can he put a down payment on a home? That's not what someone you're dating, that's not their role. That's not their role in their
Yeah.
life. They're not supposed to do that. And if I was a guy and I have a female coming at me expecting that from me, I'm gonna walk right past you.
You're going into this category,
You're
or
gonna-
you're like you are identifying yourself as someone who either cannot take care of themselves. So why would I want to be involved with that? Or you're
Right.
looking at me for the wrong reason.
Exactly.
So any man, worth having would identify those things, and you shouldn't want the man who is willing to do all of that
At all.
anyway. So next question, don't y'all log off just yet, okay? Kevin Samuels, may his soul rest in peace.
Ooh.
I have found with the Kev conversation that single women, married women, and men all seem to have, and obviously we all have our own opinions, right? But as a whole, those categories seem to have different perspectives on him and his content. So I just want to know, do you think, or did you think, what do you think about his content? Helpful, hurtful? What's your takeaway as a married woman?
I'll go first. I think Kevin's delivery was a little hard for
Yes.
some people. It wasn't that some of the things that he was saying was not true, because a lot of his comments, really, if you look deep inside, they were true comments.
I
It's
agreed with
his
most of it.
delivery. His delivery was
Yes.
a little harsh, and women don't like stuff straight.
No.
Like we need it sprinkled with, not all, and I won't say we, but some women need it to, they can't handle
We
the
want
truth.
woo, woo, woo.
Right. We
And
want
they don't want to be the butt of the joke. Like
Right.
he would always call somebody out and make an example out of people, and I think that made his delivery wrong.
But they volunteered to be
They
called
can't.
Well, that's
out.
true.
It's like you
Yeah.
come to my
In there.
house,
Yeah.
you get what you get.
Right.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think the other thing about Kevin though is he was telling the truth. Like you said, it could have
Yeah.
been a little rough. I don't think you needed to dig deep to get to the truth.
Nope.
And I think the other part that probably hurt us so much is because we are the least likely to get married. And the question is why? And a lot of that goes back to false expectations.
Yes.
And also, I think Kevin was right when he said, if you, I don't like the numbering 1, 3, 5, 10, 11. So I'm gonna just say that. However, if you think that you're automatically a 10 just because you have a degree in a house, that does not make you a 10.
Yep.
And you need to also think about what is it that you're bringing to the table that will make someone of that caliber be interested in you. What are you bringing? And I think he just made us have an internal look, and most people didn't like what they were seeing.
That's what it was. Yep.
Exactly.
You really
Put a
gotta
mirror
look
in your
at
face.
yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
But so that kind of ties into some of the points that you made earlier. A lot of these false expectations come from what we are lacking. You need that man to buy you the bag to validate yourself. You need that man to buy you a car because, like, it's something that you are missing. I think a big problem with single women is that you really aren't validating yourself. You really aren't working on you so that you can be what you need to be for your husband.
Right.
Like, you have to do that part. And I think that was a lot of the stuff that, Kevin would always say. Like, y'all focused on the wrong things.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and he also would say, there's only 2% of African American men who make this type of money that can afford to go and buy this car.
Yep.
yep.
And you think that you offer what this guy, the top to 2% have. You think you have that. You think you offer that. And what he was saying was, you need to be realistic. You need to find the guy who has a job working at the city. He's a good guy. He takes
The
good care.
average guy.
The average guy.
That
What
is
is
like
wrong with the
the
average
biggest
guy?
insult
Just
for
about to
black
say
people.
that.
We don't want to be average. We don't want to be with anybody
Right.
average. If you are average, that's an insult.
Yes.
However, if
Why?
you ask the woman if she was average, she automatically says she's not average because she has a degree and she has her own home.
Yep.
But what Kevin was saying was that that's not necessarily what men use.
That's not going to do
determine-
anything for them.
But they
Right.
also say that's not how we determine if you are wifey
Yes.
material. And we didn't want to hear that.
Yep.
Don't want to hear it.
We didn't want to
He
hear
was
it.
right.
He was
His delivery was wrong.
His delivery
But
was
he was-
harsh.
He was right about, and what I appreciated about him most, because at first I was like,
Yes.
I had to tell kid, turn this off. What are you doing? The men love Kevin Samuels because he was saying all the things that they think, but they don't have the
can't
nerve
say.
to say
Yeah.
sometimes. But I think he at least, love him or hate him, I think he at least started the conversation, a much needed conversation for our community especially, because like you said, it put the mirror in your face.
Yes.
And it's like when I go back and replay the episodes, the women will always say, I feel. Well, I feel like I should have this. I feel like I should have that. And I'm a very logical person. Just period, I'm a pretty logical person, right? So in my mind, I liken it to like your credit score. This score you give yourself, how you rate yourself, is like a credit score. I can feel like I want the brand new G-Wagon. I can feel like that. But when I go into that dealership and they run my credit, if my credit rating, my score, how they rate me is not where it needs to be, it don't matter what I feel
You
like.
don't qualify.
It doesn't matter if I think I deserve it. It doesn't
Yes.
matter if I have a degree, if I'm a very nice person.
Yes.
None of that matters. It's like, it is what it is. These type of people qualify, and these type of people don't. And I think a lot of times women, and especially black women, have been, taught to believe that we are the prize, which I do believe we are a prize, but I think we're I don't want a man that's not a prize. Like, I think we are both prizes to one another, but when you're not bringing anything to the table, it's
Well, I think the
the
other
math
thing
ain't
that
mathin'.
he mentioned was that, okay, once you past 27, you have
Ooh,
multiple.
girl.
He
would eat that
would
up.
also-
He'd be
and
like,
also
but you
talked about
old.
the multiple children, right?
That-
So
Yes.
I have 2 children. They're by my husband. But if my husband and I weren't married anymore, I would have to find a person who's okay with a woman of the age that I am that has 2 children. Now, is that something that's a deal breaker? It could be, and I can't get mad at a guy that may say, it is. I can't get mad at a guy that says, I want to marry somebody that will have my baby. I'm not interested in having any more children. So that means that maybe I'm not the person. So you can't get angry and try to force somebody to say, you should take me and my 2 kids. And I think he made people also question, okay, you had 3 children, my 3 different baby daddies. Why didn't they marry you?
Yeah.
You have to ask those questions. And if you say, well, I didn't want to marry him, then his question was, well,
Why
why
you
did you have the
sleeping with him?
babies
Or why
with
you even
them?
sleeping with him?
Well, yeah, but why
Yep.
did you end up having, not only just sleeping, but you had a baby by him.
Yeah.
3 different ones. So I think we just have to take some internal looks at ourselves, and a lot of times the reflection, we don't like it.
And that's what he was doing, essentially.
Yep.
Like,
And
he
we
was
wanted-
making people evaluate themselves.
We want it dressed up and pretty, and even I've definitely like ruffled some feathers on social media just with reacting to different content, and it's always, I've gotten comments that are like, well, basically the baby's here now. You want me to feel bad for being a single mom or being a baby mom or whatever? The baby's here now. Why are we even having these conversations? And it's like, what about if this conversation could save someone else from making the same mistake? You've already
Absolutely.
made your decision, and now you don't even want to talk about it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's done. We don't need to talk about it. Let's just, or you want to be like, let me just make you feel better. And it's like, that might make you feel better, but it's not going to move the needle. It's not going to make you make a better decision.
And it's not going to help you heal. It's
It's
surface
not.
level.
Yeah. Nope. It's
You
not.
can't go past something if you're not healing from it. Like, it's like the issue is people don't want to address their truth. And you have to deal with your truth. Like, it is what it is.
Yep.
But then also, I have girlfriends that are single. I have a girlfriend that's like, she has 3 kids, but her perspective is she doesn't want a guy who has any kids.
Ooh.
Is that fair? So that's the type
That's
of
a lot.
question that Kevin would say. Like,
Yeah.
you want this perfect guy, this,
He would say, buy a dog.
Yeah, multiple 6 figures.
That's what he was saying. He
You
would.
don't have the multiple 6 figures. You have the 3 kids, but you don't want him to. So I think you just gotta have some realistic
But
expectations.
where did these
See, I
standards
think,
come
but
from?
see, that's where I think I
Like,
know
that's
what
crazy.
my friends
That's crazy.
who have these unrealistic expectations as a friend, I'm gonna check you, boo.
Yes.
You need to look at. You have this list, and let's put you on paper.
Let's look at your
Everyone
list.
likes to look
Your
look
resume,
good
your
on
personal
paper.
resume,
But
yes.
as a friend, I would feel that I'm doing anyone that I truly call a friend. I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't have that grown-up conversation with you to say you might need to reevaluate what you're looking for in a significant other because you're not bringing 6 figures to the table. You got 3 kids. Your house is messy. Your credit score is a 500. Why are you expecting a man to have stellar everything and you're not stacking up to that? So as a married woman and my single friends, I feel I have to. Who's
They
going
be
to hold
getting
you
mad.
accountable?
They be getting mad. But you
So-
said you got a couple friends that went right. Look, they followed in your footsteps.
Yep. Yes.
They said, you know what? Maybe I'm looking for the wrong things. Maybe I need to consider. Maybe I'm the problem. Nobody wants to have that conversation with
Or
themselves.
maybe they need to
I'll
burn
have
this
it.
list. I think that
Right.
once you get
Turn
past
the
the
app
age
off.
of 30, no, I don't even know about the app. I'm saying this list. I think that this list of checking this box of he has I think that's a problem.
Do you?
I do. I think you should have expectations, and I think in your 20s is fine because you need to have some clarity.
Oh, but you old now. Let the list go.
I just think that the older you get, your list should get smaller and smaller
True.
and smaller. And the reason being is because you have to realize that there's baggage that's going to come the older you get with the folks that you're dealing with. And if you're expecting the same list that you had in your when you're 25 to be relevant in 45, you're going to die alone and get a dog. So this is what I think about the list.
I was going to say,
It depends on what's on the list.
I think if more women focused on learning who they are, they won't need a list. Because at that point, like me, I got married fairly young. I was 27 when I got married. I've known him since I was 15. We started dating in college. So my story is the exact opposite of yours. But one thing I can say about myself is I am one of the most confident motherfuckers you'll ever meet. Like, you don't ever have to tell me my worth. I know it. Like, and I grew up that way. Like, so even in dating, I can count on my hand the amount of men that I've dated because I knew who I was and who could rock with me and who I wanted. Like, in my list was never crazy where it was like, you know, these standards and boxes and things like that. But I never felt like I needed a list because I knew that ain't the one for me. Yeah, and I knew. So if more single women focused on themselves and really learning who they are and their values and their pillars, right? So if you know that, you don't need to check off boxes. You know who seamlessly fits in your box.
Yeah,
Most women
Most
don't
women
don't do a self accountability check.
Yeah.
And then most women also, we're married. We're not looking into the social media age to look at the couples that are couple goals, you know, so to speak, on social media to say, I want to emulate a marriage like that.
And it's a joke. Have you seen?
It's a lot of married people who emulate their marriage off of what they see on social media, and I think that's one of the biggest downfalls.
I was about to say they're going to be set
divorce.
up for disappointment.
It's a lot of people who do that, and especially this millennial age group, because everything is social media based. We talked about this.
I'm an old millennial. I am an old millennial.
But you got to make sure that you're not putting unrealistic expectations on your marriage and your relationship. And I will say this list that we keep talking about, because that's all we hear about, is this list amongst our sisters. And that is, again, why so many of us are unmarried.
So let me tell you what I think about the list, because I have...
Did you have a list?
I had a list.
I was about to say, I think I remember you telling me you had a list.
I got the list. And the list about...
You was praying with that list.
The list about did me in because I was looking for the wrong things.
Ooh.
So I have manifested a mess with the list. However, I feel like what we do wrong with the list, because I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in knowing specifically what you want so you can recognize it. But I think once you make the list, you have to be a match to that list. So if you say you want a man who is God-fearing, trustworthy, whatever your laundry list of things is, would that man want you?
Yeah.
Are you a match
That's
to
what
it? Or if not, that's like mental illness. So don't do it. It's a setup for failure. It's a setup for failure.
Complete.
So we had this conversation. You're the motivation behind this next question, okay? I'm going to let you go last. So we're all moms, right?
Yes.
Boy and girl, boy and girl.
Boy. Yeah.
2 boys. But I'm not going to answer the question. How do you feel about interracial dating for your children? Is there a difference? Trina, you go first since you have boy and girl.
Man, you know I'm blackity black everything. So, you know, I never thought about this, but now that I'm thinking about it, I would highly encourage, like my goals for my children is to show them examples of their blackness so much to the point that they're not interested. Like, I don't know if my kids know white people. Like, their doctors are black, their babysitters are black. Like, that's the beautiful thing about Atlanta. And I'm in the heart of Atlanta, so everything that they experience is like black. So my goal is to just make them hyper focused on their blackness to where they don't even think about anything other than that. But that could also shoot me in the foot later in life. So I think that, if it came across that way, I would probably like deflect and redirect
both of them the same
both
way.
of them
Okay.
to something else. I think that would truly be my.
Okay. Your son?
My son is grown.
He's grown.
My
Yes.
son is 30. My son.
Don't say he got a white wife. Does he have a white
No,
wife?
he's not married.
Okay.
No. I'm 100%. I
Okay.
would love for him to date and marry a black woman.
Okay.
Period, point blank, hands down.
Yes.
But I also learned in raising him, when I tell him to go right, he's going to go left.
That's what I'm afraid of. That's exactly what I just.
I just smile, and my son is with him being 30. I have only met 3 women that he has ever dated in his life. He will not bring them around me. Mom, I'm just playing. The one I'm going to bring around you is who I'm going to wife.
Again,
and I
they
always
know.
say,
They know.
hopefully you'll make her a black woman. But I've learned from a very little age, when I tell him to do something, he's going to go the opposite way.
Yeah.
So would I prefer my husband to marry a black woman? Absolutely, hands down. If he brought
your son.
Oh, yes, my son. I'm sorry. If he
we
brought
ain't letting
someone
him
else
go.
home, then
It is what it is.
You know, I'm a
I
love
wouldn't even
whoever.
know how
What
to
to do.
respond.
But I doubt if he does, so I'm just going to.
You know, that's hard.
So,
That's a
Ebony,
hard one.
What's your answer?
Well, my son knows that the expectation is a beautiful brown woman.
A queen, baby.
I made that
Wait,
clear.
black or brown? Because I feel like we be playing with the brown
Well, no,
and black. Black. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's be clear.
Black woman. And I made that very
So what's the
clear.
difference? I'm sorry, Ab.
Between black and brown.
Black and brown. I just
Brown
right because
is-
everyone
brown
has a
is
different
everything that's
perspective.
not
Everything
white.
that's not white.
Got you.
Anything that's
Black.
not right.
Got
And
you.
so I think that, you know, for him, he knows. I've been very adamant about that.
How old is your son?
My son is 20.
Ooh.
So I've been really adamant about that as a child. And I've done it in a way where it wasn't a force feed type situation, right? And so my son now works for me at my agency. So we build a friendship alongside of also being a mom so that we can have an open-doored conversation about things. Now, I have a daughter. She's 14, and this is where it comes from. I have not been as adamant about that with her. I have not seen her talk about any non-black boys, right? Everybody she's talked to me about, because I try to have an open conversation with my kids. She's only 14, have been black guys that she's been interested in. However, as I told Cole before, I would not have a problem with her dating interracially. And the reason being is because a lot of black women
Look at me
die
processing.
never being married. And I don't want my daughter to not have experienced being loved. And so, for instance,
But what if she doesn't want marriage?
but I'm saying if she does, this is my thing.
Ooh, girl,
you're processing this.
So this is how I look at it.
let me turn
Through
to
the
you.
years,
No, I feel you.
I have a 20-year-old son. So through those 20 years, I've watched friends, because I had my son later than my friends. So all of my friends' kids are, grown. But I watched their kids take non-African American girls to the prom, and then I would see my friends' daughters pairing up as a bunch of girls going to the prom. I don't know what that's like. When I went to the prom, I had multiple options, and I went to multiple proms, and that was never a problem. But in today's society, a lot of the black girls don't have those options, and I don't want my daughter feeling like her only option is to pair up with her girlfriends to go to the prom. I don't want her to feel like her only options are girls trips with her girlfriends all the time. I want her to feel loved and appreciated. And if her fellow black brothers, black men, don't see that, if they choose Becky and Senorita or whoever else, if they're choosing,
YouTube, don't ban me. Don't
me.
if they're choosing other people, so my daughter's just supposed to sit there and wait to be chosen?
So my response when I heard this for the first time was, as a mother who is raising a black man and a black woman, in my mind, I would just think that there is another black man out there being raised the way I'm raising my black son. It seems like you have a scarcity mindset when it comes to your daughter. Like there might not be enough black men out there
why I
for
say
her.
that? Because I've seen enough of my girlfriend's daughters going to the proms alone. I've seen enough of the young black boys, the black quarterbacks and everybody else going to the prom without our beautiful black daughters on their arms. And I've seen it through the years, and that is something that I have prepared myself that my daughter would not. I don't want my daughter to go through that.
But to my point, if you put them in a hyper-focused black experience where everything that they...
But that's the hyper-focused experience is not always going to guarantee
That's right.
love or anything like that.
No, I'm just talking about prom. If it's a hyper-focused black school.
But see, I think that's part of the issue that I see, because I had my son. My son's late also, so I'm seeing other people raise their kids in different stages. I got a 2-year-old. You know, we ain't worried about this yet.
Me too, girl.
But I've seen where we put our black children in the white schools because we
That
want them to
is
have
the
the
thing.
quote-unquote best. And then
Yeah.
we're mad at them when they're whitewashed everything. They got a white girl at the prom.
Yeah.
They going to the white college. They do, you know, and it's like, well, what did you expect?
Yeah.
He's literally never seen anything else. There are no other options. So I think it's being conscious. This is a great dialogue
But-
for me planning, because I'm like, if I
Ooh.
focus on it too much, might backfire.
Listen,
If I
yes.
tell him go left, he might go right. So I'm really over here
But
like,
even once you put your kids in the Jack and Jill and all of the organizations there is, once they go off to college and they're considered high value men, they're placed in opportunities that a lot of our young daughters won't be placed in to get these men.
I understand.
Yep.
And it's just reality of life. You can do all that you can.
The black woman is always last.
We are always last.
not at the HBCU, she ain't, because that's where my children gonna be. Right down there at the black and the
So I
blackness.
want you to think back to how many of your HBCU fellow brothers married white women.
Girl, not none of them.
I don't know, yeah.
Listen,
I
and
went
if
to a
this-
white
don't run
school.
this back 20 years from now, and I'm like putting my
Right.
foot in my mouth. But I think my husband is gonna back me up on this. That we plan, and again, shit don't always go as you plan, right?
Right.
But we plan on doing, like you said, Trina, just making black so excellent, so
Yes.
cool. The only
Yes.
option. Like, why would you want anything else? Like, look at you, look at us. Why? What else is
But what
there?
if your son falls in love with that?
However, at 2, he walked right in that classroom and kissed little senorita right on the face every
what I'm
single day.
saying. That's what
Every day.
What can you do about that? That's what
I
I'm
can
saying.
say, what about her? And that's what I say. I say, what about her? He finally got a little black girl in his room. Every day I'm like, hey, you gonna go to school with, and I say her name.
You hyping her up.
I am. I'm like,
yes.
yeah, she's so pretty, isn't she?
Yes.
And again, might be back, it might backfire on me, but
Yeah.
don't bring nothing else in this house, son.
Listen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pushing
It's just-
brothers for my daughter, period. But I'm also going and I have the same conversation with my girlfriends too. That's single that we talk about.
You
need
tell them to
open-
go get a white man?
I tell them they need to open their options up.
Girl, close your options.
And this is the reason why I say
It's
this.
a
Some
small
of these
gap.
girls,
It's a
Ebony,
small
I'm
gap
sorry.
over there.
girls haven't
You
been
winning?
on dates in like 5,
Yes.
10 years. I'm telling you, it's people who have not dated in years.
So where is the white man gonna come from to date them?
I'm just saying they have white men that approach them and they don't give them. Oh, I'm not attracted. I'm not interested. I'm not this and that. They
I
will
don't
turn-
know. You know it's black,
Listen,
black, black
it's-
over here.
I'm 100% love black everything.
Me too.
To Ebony's point, I have to agree on, for whatever reason, black women get overlooked time and time and time again. I moved to Atlanta from LA. Would go out in LA all the time with all my black girlfriends. Every event, I wouldn't care if it was a corporate event, an entertainment event, or just hanging out with the club. All of the men would gravitate to non-black women. Period, point blank, hands down. Like, and I think a big part of it plays in the color of your skin and how black you are. Which that's a whole nother
That's the thing,
conversation,
yeah.
because that's a whole nother
And
And the
conversation.
the
and the
location
division.
too, because LA
Yeah.
very different from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Well, I moved here and I see all black black women, black couples, but then every now and then you'll see the biracial couple and you'll see the white woman, black man, black woman. You see it regardless of where you go, but you don't want to miss out on being loved because of the color of your skin. Like,
But let me say this, to that point, and to your point about your daughter going to prom. White women, their game is different. When they're in high school, they are vetting for marriage. When they go to college, they go
They
to
are
college
securing the ring.
to secure the ring.
oh yeah, they
Exactly.
do, and 9
So
times
it's
out of
like,
10 it's from our black men.
I've seen exactly, and
Yep.
I've seen several cases where when the black boys do go to prom with the white girls, that is being stirred up in the community that they've built already. It's like intentional picking. Like they are choosing who they want to pursue, but that is like not a part of our culture. In our culture, because we've been set back so far, now we got to keep our head down and work. We can't even focus on relationships at a young age, where we really should be focused on all of the things in the playing field. And it's like we're so hyper focused on getting the education, proving our value, securing the job. We neglect relationships at a young age, so we end up being so far behind with a smaller pool
trying to catch up.
choose from.
And that when I opened up the show, I said we don't have these conversations enough, and not just publicly, not just on podcasts, but with our daughters, with our nieces, right? And so. And not only do we not have the conversation, when the conversation is had, it's like, you can't have no boyfriend. You better not.
Better
It's
not.
like
Exactly.
so
I was just gonna
bad,
ask.
negative. I go from don't tell me about no boys because you're too young,
Yep.
to you tell me about them and I'm telling you all the things not to do, never talking to you about what to do. And then you're 35 plus, mad, sad, single as hell. And your
Yes.
mama is like, well, why you ain't got no man? Well, mama, you told me they were bad.
Yeah.
You told me
I
stay
couldn't
away
talk
from
on
boys.
the phone till
You
I was
to-
20.
And
you know?
that's the point, I think, in
Yes.
African American families and non, we're trained. Wait till later. Wait
Yep.
till
Yes.
later.
You
Wait
got all
till
the time in
later.
the world
Focus
for
all
them
the
boys.
time and
Focus
focus
on
on
this.
that.
Focus on your
But
education.
Does anyone ever really teach you how to love and how to treat a
Or
man
be
and how to be a
loved.
wife or how to
Accept
there's
love.
how to receive it? We're not taught that, and when we're trying to learn in an adult age, it's kind of like there's a gap that we miss because
Absolutely.
You have so much baggage, so much that you've carried all this time.
Yes.
And now another reason why I think not only Kevin Samuels, but a lot of the Kevin Samuels like talking points is so offensive to us, because it's like, this is all we know, this is all we've been taught.
Yep.
Now I'm 30 plus, you want me to peel back 30 years worth of lessons learned and
You
advice
gotta
that I've
unlearn
been
it.
given.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm supposed to unlearn everything and now just become this soft, feminine
I'll say though, if you're ready
woman.
to do the work and you want the relationship, you
gotta
better
do what you
do
gotta
the
do.
work.
Yeah.
Baby.
But the
Do the
other
work.
problem too, I think so many of our sisters are carrying the baggage of their mothers and their aunts
Boom.
too. The negativity that they had in their relationship,
Yes.
they're carrying it. They're angry.
Yep.
So you're angry at men who haven't done anything.
You ain't
to
never even
you.
met.
You haven't,
Men who
right? They haven't done anything to you, and you're carrying it. And then you have a lot of mothers and aunties and so forth who are then jealous of the young one when they do find someone, and sometimes talking them out of the relationship because it didn't work out for them. I think young black women have to deal with so many eras and traumas in their lives and relationship that is sickening. Like we talked about the mothers and the aunts, they think they're doing a favor by telling their kids, we'll talk about it later, and then the kids, all they hear is the negative feedback about the relationship. But then you don't have a good open door policy of communication with your kid. That's why I told you, I have conversations with my daughter now. I want us to have a relationship where she feels comfortable coming to talk to me about, today wasn't a good day, Mom, and this is what happened, or so-and-so said this to me and it hurt my feelings. Or you want to be able to have those conversations with your kids and not feel as if they're bothering you, they're hindering you, and you also want to be a true supporter. So many of my girlfriends, I will tell you, have relationships with their moms that are so unhealthy.
Listen.
It's like a
We would need a whole nother
Yes.
hour to talk about mommy issues.
Wait,
okay?
wait. Let's stop it right there. I experienced the village failing me, like the aunties and stuff. When I was engaged to my husband, it was like, so New Year's Eve